Destiny is in some legal trouble currently because he was caught distributing without consent videos that he had filmed, both with and without consent, his sexual activities with people. Okay. And the only reason we know about it is because he tried to hook up with some random Discord e-girl, apparently. And then in the process of trying to hook up with this random girl, random teenager on Discord, somewhere along the way, like these videos that he was sending to her got revealed. He was sending around revenge porn. Okay. And I think like some of the aspects of that story you most likely heard about. I covered it after the allegations were unearthed. But basically, he's now in a bunch of legal trouble, civil and criminal, over this. But it turns out there's more to the story. There was speculation that the person that he was trying to hook up with was underage. And I guess now there is confirmation that that person indeed was underage. Remember those logs that came out of Sex Destiny trying to do age play? Well, it turns out he was trying to do age play with someone who was already a minor, or at least according to the readily available information. This was, now, obviously, this is not that surprising for many of you because you've probably seen Destiny defend lowering the age of consent before, talk about how actually it's not pedophilia, but ephebophilia and things of that nature. He's done all of that, right? So this might not come that much of a surprise to you, but this seems like the biggest confirmation so far. More leaked sex between Destiny and Rose, the underage girl he sent revenge porn to, because my parents are like super strict. Don't do this, don't do that, don't go there, don't talk too high. Well, it would be so hard to drive you home. Oh God, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. It's insane. Go watch on mute. Family and kids all over the place here in our house. Ah ha ha. Yes, ma'am. You can give me a discreet video of your little feet. Anyway, this is really it has now been 100% confirmed that Rose was 17 at the time the streamer Destiny was exchanging pornographic material with her. Anything sent to her prior October 2022, placing him in direct violation of numerous state and federal statutes. I guess like they found out the actual identity of the person that he was sexting with, and they found out the age of the person he was sexting with, and it turns out she was 17 at the time. It's a parking ticket. She leaked it herself from what I can gather. Will Israel grant him refuge? Maybe if he converts. His defense is that he thought she was 18, but alleged DM shows he didn't even try to verify her age despite being skeptical that she was 18. This is allegedly the first interaction Destiny had with Rose, a 17-year-old. The second image is an email explaining how the image was obtained and some behind-the-scenes DGG Mossad info. If this is truly all Destiny did to verify age, he deserves no amount of charity. You are hot AF, but 18? What the f***? Also, one-day-old account. Oh, well, I mean, I'm flattered. If you wanted to, yeah, sure. Preferably one near an ID, so I know you're at least 18. But I understand if that's too much info you'd be comfortable showing. Yeah, that's fine. Just writing something on a piece of paper, more than enough. Yeah. What? I'm not solo. A friend of mine is employed by Destiny. Destiny, the R word, started a server of approximately 10 people with the purpose of finding Rose. You're correct in that they failed. He shared the attached image with the server, as well as sharing videos of having sex with older men, other NSFW with the purpose of identifying her, identifying the hotel, etc. She was 17 years old. In the majority of porn she shared with the server, other members of the server had to tell him that if he's going to continue sending photos and videos of her, to please blur the genitals because they don't want to get in trouble if this turns out that she was underage. I don't know how damning this screenshot will be. What the f is this? Those features of the screenshots made me initially question the credibility of it, but I don't believe my friend would lie as they are still completely indoctrinated by Destiny, and I have no reason to believe that they would try to sabotage him. Close to the bottom of the screenshot, it's partially obscure, but he says, okay, I believe you. She declined to show proof of age, and Destiny enthusiastically accepted that. The only verification she gave him was proof she's not a catfish by writing her screen name and the date on a piece of paper and taking a picture with it. It looks like a minor and declines to verify their age after being asked. An adult with a functioning moral integrity or even an ounce of self-preservation would cease communication. He was trying to get CSAM Rainbow. Are there any FBI agents working in this goddamn country? Why are streamers doing this investigation for them? It's even crazier than that. I don't even think these are streamers that are doing this investigation for him. These are members of his own community that aren't like as as brain broken by the cult that are literally saying like, this is a bridge too far for me. And they're the ones who have actually actively pulled themselves out of the state of the state of the cult that they were in. These are all literally ex-cult members. There are a lot of people who used to call themselves orbiters, including some of the girls that he actually shared the revenge porn of, that called themselves orbiters. Like, he basically designed this like weird little sex cult for himself. And these people were self-described orbiters that were trying to, you know, generate some kind of goodwill and clout off of like being associated with him. And then when all of this stuff came out of him just like filming himself both consensually and unconsensually without telling the other person that he was filming them, of having sex, and then sending these images to random people online that he wanted to for some weird reason, and I cannot comprehend what that reason would even be. He did all of this and a bunch of those people who were wronged by him, including Pixie, which is one of the main victims here, who just tweeted out he knew 8 minutes ago. Okay. She was one of the people that is in a court case with him right now for revenge porn. And their friends basically said, this is a bridge too far. We're severing our ties. Okay. Now, what's really interesting about this is that one of the major generals in this battle is Destiny's podcast co-host Dan Saltman. You might know him as Diddy Dan or Dan Stalkman, the guy who owns Redact Dev, the guy who was so stupid that he basically tanked the reputation of his company by making it seem as though I was a client of his company, and also simultaneously that his company that's supposed to like sanitize your social media footprint was actually literally keeping blackmail on people, on their clients. Like, that's the way he presented his own company. That's what he was doing as far as marketing. That person also, from my understanding, literally used the members of Destiny's cult that were actually criticizing Destiny. He basically used private information of those people to blackmail them into silence, to blackmail them into submission. Yes, that Dan Saltman that sponsors H3H3 podcasts, Ethan Klein's podcast, who is one of my major stalkers, who is actively trying to constantly get the ADL up my ass for the crime of calling out Israel's genocide. That guy is a sponsor of the H3H3 podcast. He basically damn near writes most of Ethan Klein's context nukes and all this shit he does, alongside Destiny's entire community. Because unfortunately, that community almost completely revolves around no like real decipherable worldview, but instead just an insane anger that they feel towards me because I guess wronged their favorite content creator, Destiny. It's interesting though, because what they fail to recognize is Destiny is up his own career all the time. Like, that's the reason. That's the reason why he's not like a household name. But because he's so narcissistic and can never take accountability for his own actions, he has basically created this world where he can constantly say, no, I'm in this position because Hasan lies about me or whatever. Or he might say, oh, I did this thing that's wrong, but think about Hasan. He did something as well. And this has been an ongoing cycle where he just basically uses me as an off-ramp to design me as like a primary villain for his community. And a lot of his worldview unironically revolves around that. Somehow finding a way to directly contradict whatever the fuck I'm advocating for. Even if under normal circumstances, he should be in the same boat. I mean, he is the primary vector of the hate Hasan content farming. That's where it came from. Before that, it was just like random right-wingers. He's the one who serialized that content and made a lot of money off of it. Paid child support off of it for years. In any case, he goes on the wall of shame alongside many of my other ops that have been outed as pedophiles and sex criminals. Destiny has an online career spanning nearly 2 decades at this point. He's expressed all throughout his career that underage girls can can and do trick adult streamers. He was over 30 years old when he started talking to Rose. There is no defense. He was willfully ignorant. It's worth noting that a member of a niche online forum made a post early in the morning breaking down how Discord image links work and said it could mean Destiny had been sharing images of Rose around in a newly created channel around the time the leaks happened. As far as I'm concerned right now, the Twitter DMs and email story are compelling, but it's all still alleged. There's no direct evidence proving it right now from what I know. Right now, I'm pretty convinced, but I'd like to see more screenshots backing up the story. How does this keep happening to your enemies? It's because I bring a vibe to the party that pedophiles really don't like. The anti-pedophilia vibes that I bring around is something that sex pest, sex criminal pedophiles really do not jive with. And of course, they declare me persona non grata, public enemy number one. I don't know what the is. But yeah, I just super love sucking dick. When I haven't for a while, I get needy. Ahaha, cute. Cum fetish, yes. Lol. Have you recorded any more BJ cum videos recently? He was soliciting CSAM from a 17-year-old in those logs. But the story also doesn't necessarily end there. I mean, he basically admitted to a lot of this stuff and then went and turned around and hired, allegedly he was soliciting CSAM. But he basically turned around and started, at first it seemed like he wanted to apologize for it, at least on the revenge porn side of things, to the people that he had harmed. He admitted a lot of this stuff. And then he went and he hired Prince Andrew's law firm. And since then, he's just been on a tear of undermining the victims over and over and over again. Because at this point, it's just like, there's nothing going on here. Like, it's indefensible. And his reputation is understandably forever tarnished. So all he can do is basically attack and try to bring others down to his level. But yeah, here he is demanding or trying to get her to fly in. I remember having a friend who would just listen to him and literally talk about how you ripped him off and like you used them for clout to jumpstart your career. Meanwhile, he doesn't even watch him anymore. And every time I bring this shit up, he just claims that he didn't know. Yeah. Rose was cited for a traffic violation on July 21st of the 2021. The details in the court case mention her date of birth as 10/04, presumably October 2004, without a date specified. I do want to say this, and I can't stress it enough. Dan 100% knew, and Destiny also 100% knew. Keep in mind that currently Ethan Klein is making an effort to defame Hasan and to downplay Destiny's action by comparing them to Hasan's. Do not let these three people, Destiny, Dan, and Ethan, escape this. Ethan is fully aware of the allegations against Destiny and is purposely helping him bury it alongside Dan Saltman. These people are evil. Rose is the only one of the multiple minors that Destiny is 100% sexist throughout the years, this says. Again, I will reiterate, Willie Mack from the start said that he wanted Destiny to get away with it. And when he confronted him finally about Rose, he put it in the video Destiny's lie that you need age verification for Tinder, which isn't true. Willie Mack was and has continued to sweep for the pedo from the start. What is this? Dan also 100% knew the email that he sent to Bad Empanada was my confirmation. He knows Rose was underage, but he doesn't care and is actively helping him hide it. Redact Dev is run by a pedo sympathizer. Ethan Klein currently is running the campaign to defame Hasan to downplay Destiny's actions while sponsored by Redact.dev. These people are all in cahoots and coordinating one way or another. And they don't even try to hide that they want to help Destiny hide that he's a pedophile. If Hasan still refuses to weaponize against Destiny, then he's just as bad as him. He's actively refusing to give the kill shot to an actual predator who has been doing this exact thing for more than a decade. Wait, what do you mean? How the fuck is this my fault?
The child porn problem on Facebook is people sending it in the messages.
Yeah. Sure. This is the weirdest thing I'd ever discovered in my entire life. There was a hashtag. I don't remember what the hashtag was. There was a hashtag on Twitter for underage people posting porn.
Interesting.
Where it was like TWT or it was some hashtag. But if you clicked it, it was a ton of girls, like 15, 16. Someone was posting full-on porn with hashtags. Like, holy shit.
The child porn problem on Facebook is people sending it in the messages.
Yeah. Sure. This is the weirdest thing I'd ever.
How the did he know that is strange.
It is like, what was it? It was like, I think it was like 15. She wrote 15 minus 3 plus 2 or something like that. Oh, wait, hold on. Somebody saw it. Yeah, it was 8 plus 12 minus 5. And I'm like, what the f? And I start scrolling through, and I'm pretty sure there is a tag on Twitter, MNSFW, I think means minor, not safe for work. And there's a whole bunch of people on Twitter that are minors posting like sex shit What the? It was not major. Yeah.
NSF side of Twitter, even though it's supposed to be 18 plus, is full of 15-year-olds with 18 plus DNI in their bios, barely 18-year-olds looking to start OnlyFans accounts. What the is this? Oh, Jesus Christ. Ugh. When you feel like the internet is a depraved place that's nasty and full of freaks, it gets worse. It's worse than you would ever. I didn't know this. Anyway, nuke Twitter. This is your ops brother, horrible people. I know. But the reason why I brought this up is because, yes, as the previous Twitter thread also was pointing to, that previous Twitter thread was also pointing to, yes, Dan Saltman, who's Destiny's podcast co-host, sponsors the H3H3 podcast now. Post October 7, in the last couple of months, they basically became the only sponsor of the podcast. I'm pretty sure. That's why you see that little redact dev button, the Ethan Klein button that he hits when he says some shit as a 40-year-old man who can't control his mouth. That button is sponsored by Dan Saltman. Dan Saltman has a podcast with Destiny. Dan Saltman has done numerous brigades spamming false information to advertisers to try to implement an adpocalypse on Twitch, claiming that Twitch has a deep-rooted anti-Semitism problem. Of course, Dan Saltman streams on Kick. So does Destiny. And I think we all know what that platform looks like. Anyway, Ethan Klein knows all of this. He knows that Dan Saltman has a podcast with Destiny, is Destiny's like general, basically, second in command. And he tries to actively make it seem as though he's not in cahoots with Destiny and his community, when in fact they get most of their notes from that community. Right now, there's probably thousands of people watching on Destiny's website trying to find the next thing that they can clip out of context and post on Livestream Fails, the popular subreddit that was once popular for Livestream Fails and now is just an entire subreddit dedicated to just me. Hasan triples down on calling Hilo a valid target of violence. Los Ratones employs a Hasan strategy during a League of Legends game. I don't even know what this even means. I think they're just trying to memify it. If you look at some of the top posts, XQC calls out Hasan for brainwashing his audience regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict. The reason why this subreddit is so active when it comes to fuck Hasan posts is because it's owned now and completely controlled by one of Destiny's orbiters, who, by his own admission, once famously ran for, I guess, a company, or not a company, sorry, once ran for a competition that is called like DGGer of the Year. They've used the Livestream Fail subreddit for the past couple of years at this point to actively try to create and manufacture drama. And in the process of trying to actively manufacture and create drama, they basically destroyed the subreddit, ironically enough. But this is it. That's Dan Saltman. This is not what he looks like. I think this is just like, this is Photoshop. Destiny's podcast co-host. And that is the guy who runs LSF, former Twitch staff of 4 years. Stale 2000, I believe, is his username. And on his YouTube page, we found a video of him petitioning to be the, if you do top and then click by week, look at the top post in the subreddit, owned and operated entirely by Destiny's mod. The guy on the right is not actually Photoshopped. The guy on the left is Photoshopped. Hasan wasn't invited to the streamer games because AT&T didn't want him there. Hasan Piker says that Hilo Klein is a valid military target. No repercussions. One Asmongold clip. Hasan triples down on calling Hilo a valid target of violence. Destiny calls out Twitch for allowing Hasan Piker to run a terrorist recruiting platform on their site. Destiny reacts to Hasan's viral Hilo Klein comments. Hasan's response to Mr. Beast and XQC and Aiden making fun of him for not donating, which, by the way, this one was interesting. It's a 2-minute video, and I did donate. I had donated the first day to Mr. Beast's charity. This is the last week. Does this look normal to you? Hasan caught throwing up a popular Turkish salute. Hilo Klein responds to Hasan Piker's statement in which he endorsed and justified violence and murder. You would think if this had any sort of real motion and it wasn't just like a fleshlight designed for tarnishing and slandering Destiny's enemies. Yeah, I did donate. I donated the first day. I just did it quietly. Anyway, active campaign on Reddit to discredit criticism of pedophiles, pedophile propaganda. Yep. This isn't the first time this has happened. I mean, this has been ongoing for a couple of years at this point. So when you wander in the wild, when you wander out in the wild and you see someone who has an opinion over me, about me, that you cannot comprehend where they arrived at that conclusion from, it could be any number of different places, but it's usually from one of these groups that have never stopped doing this. Journalists are aware of it. Journalists that have covered Gamergate are aware of it. They say this is like Gamergate on steroids, but directed at one person instead of like a bunch of different targets. It's the exact same shit. For a lot of these guys who never grew out of that Gamergate style of behavior online, this is what they busy themselves with. Yeah, Slate deleted the DDGer of the year video, but it's, of course, it was on his
Hi, I'm Stale 2000.
Yeah, it was on his YouTube, and when we found it, he deleted it. But this is the guy who runs the LSF subreddit.
And I'm running for DGGer of the year on December the 3rd. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how all of my opponents are way worse than me, using facts, logic, and most importantly, evidence, as in chat logs. Here, Albert FCB is asking people to gift him subs. A real DGGer buys his own subs. In the month of November, Fitz spammed the...
Anyway, that's all you need to know about this dude. This is not satire. This is like literally their own little inter-community fun that they engage in. So not only that, but like I said, Dan Saltman has played a formative role in silencing the criticism that's coming internally from the community after Destiny's numerous sex crimes were unveiled and people started questioning Destiny and people started attacking him. People felt like he was maybe not such a good guy. It even caused some of these people to actually reflect on the way that they have covered me, as a matter of fact, where they were like, if I can't trust this guy on this maybe he was just lying about Hasan this entire time. Some of them actually arrived at that conclusion and realized that they were lied to. But there are those who are obviously still very much firmly in the cult and do everything in their power to either try and sweep this kind of stuff so that other content creators are oblivious to it, or actively try to attack me, because in their minds, I guess they think as long as we can undermine Hasan, then people will eventually love Destiny, which is not how these things work. Very sad state of affairs overall. There was also another video I wanted to show from Dan, if someone has it, where he's like talking to everyone in his community and Destiny's community being like, you're all hypocrites. If I see you calling out Destiny, I'm going to do everything in my power to take you out. He has already doxed numerous people. He's even doxed people that are like fan editors of mine on Twitter, weaponizing the DMCA claims to his advantage. They're basically just, they're just doing Gamergate, but for one dude. And they've latched on to the pro-Israel side of the argument because they know that there are at least like groups that are just as crazy that have some level of institutional power that can also be beneficial allies in their cause.
My fellow orbiters or coworkers, if you're some of my coworkers out there and you're making your little bit of a strong statement about how much you condemn Destiny and everything else, you better not let me fucking find you doing something else and signing some other bull for someone else. All this is just virtue signaling. Okay, it's like, because it's like, oh God, sharing nudes. Okay, I'm out of here immediately, right? Like, fuck Hasan, right? Fuck everyone that's using this as a jumping off point to like try and make their side win. Don't let me capture you.
Like, that's the only way he analyzes this stuff, is like making their side win. This dude is like 60 years old, by the way. It's not about winning a side, man. Like, what the f do you mean? It's about having an incredibly toxic force in online political discourse that is basically never held to account, never held accountable for any number of different horrifying things that he does. The metric that is applied to someone like myself is so distorted. I get quote unquote canceled or smeared for things that I don't believe, for things that I've never said, for false framing of things that I'm talking about. Meanwhile, if I were to say even a fraction of the awful that Ethan Klein says or that Destiny says in any number of different streams that they've done, I would, of course, be canceled 1,000,000 times over by these guys, ironically enough. But this one is extra up because what he's talking about here is a distribution of revenge porn while in the process of trying to solicit, allegedly, CSAM from a minor.
In 4K, being a virtue signaling that, felony capture that event for many of these people. I will destroy you if that's the case. My fellow orbiter.
Why is Dan trying to sound like Destiny? I don't know, dude, because he's pathetic. I feel like it's given his life meaning, I guess. But that's the main sponsor. That guy is the main sponsor. What is this? Dan Saltman, sponsor of the H3 podcast, is found in Discord dedicated to spreading lies and stalking Hasan's family. Turkey backs Palestine and they don't like America. It was just a funny theory, but I think people would latch onto this without a second thought. So if you don't care about hard proof, then I think this would cause a panic with enough people to get some real movement on it. I found a book his dad wrote. It's the limited free version and in Turkish, but maybe something could be extracted from this. Step 1 is to confirm it's his dad. Step 2 to answer the question, who is his dad? This is the unspoken side of what I have to deal with on a daily basis. What these guys claim I'm doing to them, ironically enough, is exactly what they're doing to me. I've never done this to any of these guys. I don't give a shit enough to do anything like this. And I think it's repulsive to do things like this to begin with. The double standard is so glaringly obvious. Could you imagine if I was in a Discord server stalking Ethan's family members? Or if I was like sponsored by a guy who was doing that? Now that would be a Philip DeFranco video, let me tell you. In the process of defending Israel, Ethan Klein got actually canceled by his own audience. People yelled at him a lot because of the way he was presenting this issue that was a black and white issue. It's genocide. His own audience didn't want him to do it. They couldn't fathom it. They couldn't believe it. And slowly but surely, he just chipped away at the remaining progressive people in his fan base. And in that process, he never let it go. He just assumed that it was because I was like brainwashing his fans into hating him. Okay? Falsely smearing him. And he never stopped smearing me, claiming that I was a terrorist over and over again, a terrorist mouthpiece, a terrorist propagandist, one that should potentially face legal repercussions by the Trump administration. Now, in the process, he claimed that Child Protective Services came to his house. I have no reason to believe that this is false. And as soon as I was made aware of this, I immediately condemned it. I said, I have nothing to do with this. I would never be on board with something like this. I think it's gross. I told people not even to remotely entertain it. Then came the Skullgate, which, again, I still don't know who was responsible for it, and neither does Ethan, but that didn't stop him from claiming that it was I and my fans that both did the Child Protective Services call and also sent skulls to his house. It was everyone that actually had... everyone that Ethan had in his crosshairs that was somehow responsible for skulls being sent to his house, somehow responsible for the Child Protective Services being called to his house. When the skull shit happened, I said, that's freak shit. I condemned it. What's really interesting is I don't think Ethan has once condemned the Islamophobic attacks that I have received, especially because he himself is unironically responsible for a good deal of that, and has normalized this kind of sentiment and behavior and advocated for it. And he certainly has not, even once, to my knowledge, condemned Destiny for making a direct death threat against me. This is, yet again, the double standard that I have talked about over and over again. I have always combated anti-Semitism as a dangerous form of bigotry, always in my career. That's why I have a lot of Nazis who hate me. Nazis who even align with Ethan now because of their hatred for me. Think about that. Ethan Klein is a Jewish content creator, and there are out and about open neo-Nazis that align with him because he's attacking me. I've never once collaborated with anti-Semites. There are plenty of them who hate Ethan as well because I don't agree with them. I don't agree with their worldview. I see them as a threat as well. Ethan does not see Nazis as a threat. As long as those Nazis are directing their animosity towards someone who is pro-Palestine, his former podcast co-host. This is hypocrisy of the highest order. That's it. He has mentioned Destiny's calling for your death. He thinks it's fine because your fans do it all the time. He has posted 2 Instagram stories, one today saying that. Yeah, imagine how much concerned trolling would take place if I literally saw an active death threat that an active death threat that Ethan Klein was receiving from a prominent content creator, okay, and said, that's totally fine. That's actually perfectly valid. They can't, because I don't believe that, because I don't think that that is appropriate at all. So much so that I've even criticized Bad Empanada for not even doing a death threat towards Ethan Klein, mind you, but instead playing the Palestinian version of Call of Duty. It's interesting though. A content creator equals random internet comment. No, I mean it's not equivalent either. And of course, if you want to understand what this kind of like insanity leads to, look, it's him 100% confirmed. One sec, I got it. Old Man Laundry, take a look when you also get around to it. Goes through Jenk's life and details his sister Hasan's mom stalking my family. That's Dan Saltman, sponsor of the H3H3 broadcast through redact.dev in a Discord dedicated to stalking my family. That is Ethan Klein's only sponsor. What the are we doing? Here we go again with the drama. Resident Sleeper. Brother, do you think it's drama that there is a Discord server dedicated to stalking my family? Are you insane? What is drama, dude? Bro, one of these days, I'm going to get shot and killed. And these guys are going to be like El Hasan tuning in from the hospital, talking about how he got shot. El drama, bro. Put the news in the bag, little bro. Anyway, I saw this on my community page. I said, if I get murked by an adult wearing a color block pastel hoodie made for children, I'm haunting everyone involved for generations. These were some of the comments under Ethan Klein's video. Nah, I think in this case, he needs to be taken out. Hasan, that's a member. Hasan cannot threaten our queen and expect to get away with it. Whatever happens to him now will be well deserved. May he sleep with one eye open. He has gravely mistaken our fan base for not being dangerously insane when it comes to protecting our own. It's coming for him. What about Hasan? He doesn't have anywhere near the protection he will need. I've watched him up close plenty for when I need to. The war has begun. Please, someone has to off Hasan. People should never have associated with these far-left psychos like Hasan. They're as twisted as any MAGA cultist, just in a different ideological direction. Also similar ones as well. Disgusting. Yeah, there's more. It's not just those 3 comments. This is just like some choice words from under the video. A video that Ethan Klein has changed the thumbnail and title of 1 million times at this point, including, as far as I understand, his last version of it was just death threat. If it makes you feel any better, the garish colors will make it harder for the assassin to sneak around. I agree. That's true. Yeah. How do we get here? Well, we got here because streamer Destiny has been accused of sexting and sharing pornographic material with a 17-year-old girl. Twitter users, including his own son, Nathan Bonnell, are sharing evidence of sexual chat logs between Destiny and the minor. Since when did you care about the children? Except for Rose, lol, says his own son, who apparently is now a Nazi. The question is it really that hard for Ethan? Is it really that hard to not involve yourself with these people? Is it really that hard to say, hey, please don't send death threats to my mortal enemy who never wanted to be in this position? It's actually insane. Anyway, he called Asmongold fine and only Trump coded. Yeah, Ethan Klein, the guy who loves fighting back against quote unquote anti-Semitism, who claims that Twitch has a real anti-Semitism problem and has now consistently, again, demanded that his fans brigade and mass spam advertisers with false smears about myself being a dangerous anti-Semite in an effort to bring about an adpocalypse to an entire platform that content creators rely on, okay, has also defended Asmongold because Asmongold is an incredibly important vector of hate in the Hasan universe. Will Ethan Klein, who once said Asmongold is Trump-coded but not necessarily pro-Trump, which was an insane statement that even his own producers had to correct him on. Will he have a statement about
Jews
this?
and blacks did it? It's all Jews and blacks. Yeah. And by the way, on Twitter, you would have a lot of people that agree with you. No, there's been a lot of people that have been feeling that way. It's been massive. It's been crazy. Like, I've been seeing, like, the amount of people who are, like, hyper-focused on, like, especially Jews. People really don't like Jews anymore. They really, really don't. Like, I've been seeing, like, and I feel like every time that I feel like it's peaked, it goes again. It gets even more extreme. People go even harder with it. They never have, bro. I mean, there's 109 examples of that. You're right.
For those of you who don't know, 109 is, and I didn't even know this until recently, is a dog whistle. Part of the reason why I know it's a dog whistle is because Ethan Klein tried to claim that when I told him he had actually posted about me 110 times on Instagram, he thought that was me doing a dog whistle. The dog whistle is Jews have been kicked out of 109 countries. That's something that Nazis say. So they bring that 109 number up. Yeah. So he knows it is a dog whistle because he claimed that I was doing it to him. It was just the number of Instagram stories that he'd posted about me. But that was enough for him and his fan base to claim that I was actually doing a dog whistle. This dog whistle specifically. Asmon talked about Goyslop talking about fast food. I mean, he's also routinely promoted Nick Fuentes.
Right.
Asmongold is a really interesting person because he has consistently defended Israel, attacked Israel's critics, calling them terrorists, demanded their deportation, saying that they're a dangerous threat to American foreign policy, but also simultaneously loves Nick Fuentes and regularly will hype up Nick Fuentes. You figure Asmongold is anti-Semitic on purpose or just ignorant and apathetic? Could be either, but I think probably on purpose. But even on the aspect of, drama-related things, Ethan Klein went from calling out Keemstar's anti-Semitism to wearing Keemstar's merch, it seems, making the entire team wear it too. What a way to go out, man. What a way to go out. This man did a content nuke on Keemstar, actively presented Keemstar as his major enemy, only to turn around and become a formative ally to Keemstar after Keemstar spent years calling his wife a horse. No shame. He did 3 nukes on Keemstar. Now that everyone is concerned about anti-Semitism, I'd like to remind everyone that Keemstar told his audience to tweet at me, "Death to all Jews." This is the person that started the outrage machine about my apparent anti-Semitism towards Ben Shapiro. This man said Twitch was incredibly anti-Semitic and now is entertaining a Kick deal. He was part of the reason why Kick even exists to begin with, because alongside myself, he actively crusaded against crypto casino gambling. And then it got banned off Twitch. So Stake, the crypto casino, had to make its own website. That website is known as Kick. Years later, now Ethan Klein is entertaining getting a contract from Kick after spending the last 22 months of Israel's unlimited Holocaust against the Palestinian population, decrying that Twitch is an incredibly anti-Semitic website for allowing someone like myself to continue ranting against the state of Israel for its genocide. He can't even stick to one consistent position. It makes no sense. No morals, no principles, just pure hatred. There are plenty of people that still get duped by these guys because they just don't pay close attention to anything, and I don't even fault them for it. But that's it. That's it. It's a sad state of affairs. Where's the self-preservation from other streamers? They're just going to sit down and be scared while their livelihood is threatened by a freak crashing out? Yes, because in some ways, I think they correctly interpret this as an event that is inevitably going to go away. If these guys are successful and then I'm deplatformed, it goes away for all these other content creators and they go, oh, finally, you know, yeah, we like Hasan, but he was really threatening our bag because of his existence. And that's the goal. For a lot of these guys, they can't actually make me into a toxic figure amongst my friends, so they try to bring me down to their level. These are people that none of these guys want to collaborate with, none of these guys want to be around. But as long as they can associate themselves forcibly with someone like myself and make it everybody else's problem by routinely attacking my friends for even collaborating with me, for example, then they can successfully turn me into a toxic pariah figure. That's the whole point of the LSF brigading, for example. They can't do it, so they try everything they possibly can. And in the process, if they were to be successful and get me deplatformed, then people are like, all right, finally, they'll move on to someone else. If they fail and get bored, eventually they'll move on to someone else. Ultimately, for a lot of the content creators that are in the periphery, quietly watching the events that are unfolding, their hope is that it just inevitably goes away. I think what they fail to recognize that the lack of counter messaging from progressive voices on this platform, out of understandable fear that they might be harassed endlessly by some of these rabid monsters, has created an environment where the most loud voices you hear are the likes of Asmongold. And there's only one person who is actively in the top, regularly duking it out with these people, and that person is ritualistically humiliated with ridiculous smears over and over again and turned into a toxic pariah. What do you think happens at that point? If the only voices of political discourse is far-right voices, and the only major voice of progressive politics is a guy that those far-right voices are explicitly attacking with regular frequency, from the audience's perspective, they don't actually understand where that silence comes from these other content creators. They don't see the way the sausage gets made. They don't know that this is out of real fear of harassment that they do not want to invoke. So they think, oh, everybody's right wing. This is cool. Reading an AI script? Yes, I'm reading an AI script and not just like communicating my day-to-day experience. But it's all good, baby. I'm a stubborn and I'm not going to stop. That's it. Because unlike a lot of these guys, I'm not fueled by pure spite and resentment and a narcissistic desire to want to undermine people who have made them feel stupid at some point. The reason why I'm stubborn is because I do believe something. I believe exactly what I communicate to you. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't do this. There are much easier ways to make a far larger buck online, even in the realm of political commentary. If this was a pure grift, then I just joined the wave of content creators that are doing unlimited right-wing propaganda right now, because they're at the mercy of political. They're at the mercy of political memes, and they just basically latch on to whatever motion any sort of politics has, whether it be Andrew Tate taking off like a rocket ship and designing your worldview around whatever the fuck he's saying, or whether it's Donald Trump winning the election.